Help! Yes, year 7, it's me, I'm back again. And it's time for another flip video. Now, I called for help there at the start. I went, help! Now that, year 7, is a minor sentence. And what I'm here to talk to you today is about different types of sentences. Minor sentences, simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. Now today we're only interested in what each one is. Okay, for example, let's start with help. Yep, help, with an exclamation mark at the end. It's one word, which doesn't really seem right. How can you have a sentence that's just one word? But it is a sentence, and it's called a minor sentence. Okay, a minor sentence, a very short sentence. Okay, it's a sentence that doesn't have a subject. Okay, it's normally just one particular word with no subject. Okay, so understanding, there's no subject there. Or wow, or terrifying. Okay, now all of these are minor sentences. Sometimes we use them just to clarify things or to really show a particular emotion. We normally do it at a time of drama. For example, I wouldn't expect to see a minor sentence in something like a formal letter or indeed a formal newspaper article. But in a story, especially if you're using direct speech, then I might see a minor sentence. So what comes after minor sentences? Well, simple sentences. Okay, simple sentences which contain only one piece of information. Billy was 17 years old. Or, she seemed terribly nice. One subject, Billy, one verb, was, and then one piece of information about them. Okay, indeed here, I have another simple sentence. Oh, sorry everybody, you all just disappeared there. Let's see if I can get you all back up. Oh, that's fun. Let's not bother editing, let's just keep going. Here's mine. My favourite film, that's my subject, is, that's my verb, The Princess Bride. And that is the piece of information I want to get across. Okay? A simple sentence contains one piece of information with one subject, my favourite film, one verb, is, and then the information that you want to get across, The Princess Bride. It is actually my favourite film. It's really good if you haven't seen it. It's kind of like a messed up fairy tale. Okay? So, that is a simple sentence. So, can we tell the difference? A little quiz for you, year 7. Okay, here's your quiz. Are these minor or simple sentences? Which one's which? Take a few seconds to read them. I'll just hold them up like this. Have you guessed? Do you know which ones are the simple sentences? Let's go through it. It was Sunday. That's your simple sentence. Okay? The dog growled quietly. That's your simple sentence. And they were late. That's a simple sentence too. Okay? Your minor sentences, they're easy to spot. Amazing. Silence. Do you know why? There's no subject. There's no subject to those sentences. They're often just one word, hence a minor sentence. Okay, let's move on. Let's go a bit quicker. A compound sentence now. What's a compound sentence? Well, it's when you join two simple sentences together with a conjunction. Okay, and, but, or, so. So here's two examples here. One example rather. He crossed the room slowly and he sat down on the edge of the sofa. That is two simple sentences. He crossed the room slowly. One, that works. That makes sense perfectly on its own. And, conjunction, he sat down on the edge of the sofa. Okay? Two sentences joined together by a conjunction. Okay? Here's one of mine for you, just so you can recognize it a little bit more. I like cheese, but I love chocolate. Two simple sentences. So, subject, verb, information, conjunction, subject, verb, information. Okay, just a nice way to remember it. You're joining two simple sentences together. Simple sentence, with a conjunction. Okay? Last up. Now I know I'm going through this quickly. Complex, compound, minor, simple. This is also fast. But the joy is you can watch this again and make sure you know what they are. When we come in to class on next lesson, what I'll be looking for you to do is to be able to put these into practice. And if you're not sure what a compound or a simple or a complex sentence is, then that'll be the time to ask me, okay? But rather than me doing it for everybody, going over it and over it and over it again, hopefully some of you have got it like that, which is fine. You can just get to work. Others of you, I can give you a bit more time. So remember that if you're struggling and thinking, what? He's going too quick. Okay? Now, last up is a complex sentence. This is when it gets quite tricky, but it shouldn't be for us. Do you know why? Because we've already talked about complex sentences without me really talking about them or saying their name. Because remember when we did commas and you joined a subordinate clause with a main clause? That makes a complex sentence. That's it. Okay, that's why we use the comma, to join a subordinate clause to a main clause. Okay, so let me just do this. Show you it again in writing so you can reread it. Complex sentence. It contains a main clause and a subordinate clause. Okay, the subordinate clause is separated by a comma and does not make sense on its own. Okay, so here's mine. Oh, hello everybody, you disappeared again. If only I was taller, I'd have been great at basketball. That's true. I would have been amazing at basketball, but I'm too small. So, one part doesn't make sense on its own. Which bit? Yes, if only I was taller. That's the bit that doesn't make sense on its own. That's a subordinate clause. So you use the comma to join it to a main clause. Okay, I'd have been great at basketball. Subordinate clause, main clause, comma. Okay, now that's a complex sentence. Join a subordinate clause to a main clause with a comma. Remember, a main clause makes sense on its own. Main clause makes sense on its own. A subordinate clause does not. Here's a couple of examples. Okay. Waiting patiently, she picked up the newspaper. Obviously, waiting patiently doesn't make sense on its own. That's a subordinate clause. So it's joined together by the comma to the main clause. Okay? And you can read the other two for yourselves. I'll just hold them up here for a second so you can get a good look. All right? Excellent. Okay. Main clause, subordinate clause, comma. Then you've got your complex sentence. Okay? Now, minor, simple, compound, complex. What do I want from you guys? Well, those of you who are working really hard, you'll go back and perhaps watch the video again, or you might already have it in your head, and you'll write down for me at the back of your exercise book the difference between each one, or the definition of each one if you like. Okay? What I definitely need everybody to do is to write down the phrase waistcoat. Because look, I'm looking very smart today in a waistcoat. If you write down the word waistcoat, I know you've been watching this video all the way to the end. Okay, on Sunday we'll talk about these three things, or four things: minor, simple, compound, complex. We'll discuss that on Sunday. Okay, but thank you for watching. It's been fun. Goodbye.